Welcome to KBS World Radio. You're now tuned in to Korea24's Korea Book Club, where we explore the world of Korean literature. This is our weekend replay edition, playing back our book segment from Wednesday's show. We hope you enjoy it. I'm your host, Kwon Jang-woo. With me now in the studio, it is the one and only literary critic, Barry Welsh. Barry, hello, it's great to see you.
Yes, hi, it's great to be here.
Okay, so what are you introducing to our listeners today?
Well, this week we are reviewing an eagerly anticipated short story collection called Your Utopia by Bora Chung. And the Korean title of this book is actually 그녀를 만나다, which translates as To Meet Her. To Meet Her is the name of one of the stories in the collection. I'm not sure why the English translation has been called Your Utopia after the name of one of the other stories in the collection. But anyway, that's the reason for the difference in the Korean title and the English title. And so, and of course, Bora Chung is most famous for her short story collection Cursed Bunny, which came out a couple of years ago. And that garnered significant attention and praise for its blend of horror, science fiction and fairy tale elements intertwined with sort of sharp social commentary. And Chung has a background and education in Slavic languages and literature and Polish and Russian. And she brings elements of these perspectives to her short story writing. And so the stories in Cursed Bunny were infused with a kind of blend of Korean and European literary influences. And listeners will be happy to hear that Your Utopia is another innovative and thought-provoking collection of short stories, featuring everything from workplace satires to cannibalism, pandemics, alien wives, sentient cars, post-apocalyptic worlds, and much, much more. And I think fans of Cursed Bunny and Bora Chung in general will find much to enjoy in this new collection.
So, what more can you tell us about it? She's known for dropping her readers into new and bizarre worlds. What sort of worlds and stories do we encounter in this collection?
Right, yeah. So what I think makes Your Utopia particularly compelling is this ability that Chung has to craft stories that are at once fantastical and deeply human at the same time. So her characters are often placed in, like you said, bizarre or extreme circumstances, but these stories are rendered with empathy and depth, and so this, I think, allows readers to connect with the struggles and aspirations, no matter how strange or outlandish they might be. So, and this even extends in this collection to non-human characters. So, for example, in A Song for Sleep, that story is written from the perspective of an elevator, an Internet of Things, a hyper-connected elevator that falls in love with one of its regular passengers. Very strange love story. And this sort of desperate yearning that we see here, is this sort of yearning for an impossible connection, is at heart very moving and very human. And this idea of non-human characters struggling to survive can also be found in the title story, Your Utopia. So this is set in a dystopian future where humans have abandoned the planet. And having abandoned the planet, we have left behind our smart cars and smart buildings and all of these other sort of very technologically advanced and AI-run devices, which we're now, of course, increasingly coming to see and use and to experience around us. And the smart car protagonist of the story has to survive this hostile environment where some of the other sentient machines have kind of turned into monsters that are seeking to destroy or dominate the post-human landscape. And all through the story, this smart car, he yearns also for some kind of connection, right? Some kind of relationship. Is desperate to keep other robots alive or other machines alive. And it's a very sad commentary on the world that we're creating, where interpersonal connections are increasingly mediated through technology or through AI or through things like that. And overall, I think what Chung is saying in this story and in the collection in general is that utopia is found in connection with other people and not in these sort of technological advances or the sort of hyper modern world that seems to be coming our way.
Right, we can already see her incredibly imaginative mind at play here. I love that idea of an elevator falling in love with one of those passengers. Just the idea itself sounds so tragic and compelling as well. Chung is also known for blending different genres as well, like surrealism and dystopian fiction. Do we see that at work in this collection as well?
Right, yeah. So that's something we saw in Curse Bunny, and it's something we see here too. So one of the other very entertaining stories is The End of the Voyage, and this is a blend of a pandemic satire, a kind of a zombie outbreak story, and a sci-fi story. So a strange pandemic sweeps the world, causing societies to crumble and people everywhere to be thrown into disarray. And this disease causes people to become cannibals, but not the mindless zombies that we usually see in a zombie movie. So the victims just develop an uncontrollable urge to eat people, but otherwise they're the same. They're just the same lucid, everyday people that you would otherwise see around you. But this means that you can't tell if someone has the disease because they don't look like a movie zombie. They just look and act the way they normally would until they start trying to eat you. And in desperation, a world government sends a group of people into space so that they don't get infected and can return to the planet at a later date to repopulate the Earth, or just to try and pick up the pieces in some way. And of course, there are complications and things don't go as planned. And the story resonates because, of course, we've just been through a pandemic, which resulted in people and governments acting in very strange and uncommon ways. And the experience of the pandemic seems to have tipped us as societies into seeing the world as altogether more unstable, perhaps, than we once thought it was. And so Chung's using this blend of genres in this story to sort of talk about that situation, and she sort of does so with a great deal of surrealism and humour.
Right, and that's such an ingenious twist on the zombie idea as well.
Right,
zombies you don't even know, who you don't know are zombies. Chilling, but hilarious at the same time as well when you think about all the scenarios. Chung is also known for her critiques of society as well, especially through her use of dark humour and irony. And we can already see that in some of the stories that you've mentioned already. And that is something that's continuing in this collection as well, it seems then. But understand that there are also some more mundane, everyday settings as well.
Right, yeah. So this is a theme that we see in a lot of modern Korean fiction. So we find Chung making critiques of modern Korean workplace culture for young millennials, and also of sort of contemporary Korean marriages. And in the first story, the Center for Immortality Research, the protagonist is a young woman, and she's a low-level employee at a research institute. And this story essentially depicts the pain of being a low-level young employee who's constantly bossed around, harassed, tasked with impossible projects or put in embarrassing situations, and is just generally underappreciated, underpaid, and unloved. And the tone of the story is sort of wryly humorous, but of course what the story is talking about is actually a very important issue, and one that many struggle with. There was actually a trend recently on social media for young women posting videos of how stressed out they were at work, and this story kind of encapsulates that same kind of thing. Chung's using satire to sort of show how ridiculous this situation is for people such as the story's protagonist, and again sort of using this wry humour to kind of comment on that. And then in another story called In a Very Ordinary Marriage, a man discovers that his seemingly perfect wife is not who she says she is, and in fact might be from another planet altogether. And again, this story is sort of superficially amusing, like the concept and the way it's set up, but it's also deeply sinister, and at the same time an exploration of modern marriage or sort of marriage expectations. And Chung does this kind of thing very well, using genre and humour and irony to surprise and engage the reader.
So that was Your Utopia by Bora Chung, which will be published in February. Barry, thank you for another thoughtful review, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Okay, take care.